Wow, spinning words. AJ Zeglen joining us here. Mind Fuel. Marty's got something to say here.
That was just the broken fat part. That was hilarious, man.
Seriously, you want your kids to be broken fat? There's a lot of broke fat people out there, and they're not focusing on themselves. So they're a perfect fucking roadmap of how to be broken fat. And that's what their kids are going to end up. So if they don't focus on themselves to be better, then their kids are going to lead that same fucking life, and they're going to have to heal from the terrible roadmap they followed, because that's what they were programmed to do. So again, think about it, twist the words around it. It's fucking crazy. If you don't heal for them, they're going to have to heal from you.
All right, we're segueing from broken fat, AJ Zeglen, to emotional intelligence and bringing empathy to. AJ is a witty fellow. I'm curious to know the words coming out of his mouth right now as we introduce AJ to the floor. What's going on, Zeglen?
What's going on, guys? No, I love it, because I feel like what John is saying there, and I tell people this all the time, is when you're in the context of your kids or the people that you're leading, they're going to do what you do rather than what you say.
Marty?
Right? And I agree with that 100%. So, if you're a smoker and you're just chain smoking, you're hacking 2 packs of darts a day and you're telling your kids smoking is bad, don't do it.
Yeah.
They're going to probably end up smoking because they're seeing you smoking today, right? That's how it works, right? So you have to show them. They're more likely to do what you do than do what you say. So I totally agree with what John was saying there.
But Jimmy, get me in.
Fuck my daughters. I told them to do all this stuff when they were growing up. They were like, Dad, what the hell? Now they're adults and they're like, thank you, Dad. So your kids are going to follow what you say.
Keep going, Marty. Keep going, Marty. What does he say?
No, they follow what you do, not what you say.
They follow what you do, not what they say. Fuck.
Yeah, they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit what you say. They care what you do. Thank you, Dad. Thank you for living the way that I need to live as an adult.
Oh, Zeglen, I was waiting for that, man. All right.
Sorry, AJ.
That's awesome. As Marty, as AJ was starting it, I can see we are both completing each other's sentences there, looking at Johnny. Okay, we know where this is going here. But AJ, today we're talking emotional intelligence and empathy. And we're talking about let's turn emotional intelligence into a performance multiplier. But let's first start with the science. What happens in our brain when we lead with empathy? What changes to our body physiologically, AJ?
So when we lead with empathy, we de-escalate the situation, right? So oftentimes in a conversation, if we feel that someone has a different opinion of ours or something is different in any type of way, we get our backs up, we get defensive, right? And now there's increased tension and stress in there. So from a physiological way, when we show empathy, when we're able to have that skill of putting ourselves in someone else's shoes and understanding where they're coming from and actively listening to them with the intent of understanding what they're saying and not just us just thinking the whole time about the next thing that we want to say, right? But when we're able to do that, then it just de-escalates the stress and the conflict in the situation, and it makes it way more productive, right? We got to remember that emotional intelligence, it's two factors. There's 2 parts to it. There's how we're managing our own emotions, but then there's also how we are understanding the emotions of others, of other people. So we got to make sure that we're covering both bases.
And it's hard. And I'm glad you said 2 things. Johnny, one quick thing here, but you said emotional and intelligence. There's 2 things in the radio, 2 big words, 2 big concepts, put them together and then make it happen. I know I found myself in a situation yesterday where I was practicing Johnny, responding instead of reacting. That's what it is. And this show and hanging out with you guys has been just keep that awareness for me. And AJ, it helps me lead with that emotionally empathetic response. Johnny, you were going to say something.
Yeah, no, what AJ just said was so fucking good. It's literally just 2 days ago. I told my wife, I told Tara, I said, you know what, honey? I said, if I am really in tune, I'm listening to what you're saying, and I'm in tune with where you are and whether you're having a struggle or a bad day, whatever it is, and I can really understand that, and I can truly make sure that I respond rather than react, we could have the rest of our lives without having a fight. And so we were coming back from Mexico, and she didn't sleep well. One of our dogs was up, not feeling well. And She woke up and she's, honey, I didn't sleep much. Her words were, I'm crusty today, which means she's crusty, crunchy, means, hey, I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? This is a fucking opportunity here. So she was very clear how I could not, because I understood that I would have been freaking an idiot. So I made sure that I was really in that mode where if she got a little punchy, I was going to breathe and I was going to respond rather than react. But more importantly, what I did was, and we were in the car for 6 hours coming home, and sometimes that can make for, if something goes off track, man, there's nowhere to go.
No.
So I started talking to her about things that I knew she was interested in. And I just, based upon, just like AJ said, I just led with understanding where she was, and I just slowly brought her into a better space. And at the end, about halfway home, she was smiling, she was having a good time. And so I guess what I'm getting at is that I just think that if people understand, and AJ, you just described it perfectly. If you can do that, you have, I don't mean control in a bad way. You have full control of your relationships not turning into these negative fucking waste bins. And so I just made the commitment to myself first, but also to my relationship with her, that my goal is never to have another fight. It's retarded to have another fight. Knowing what I know, and if I truly stay tuned into her, there should never be another fight.
Yes. AJ?
Yeah, no, I love it. Just a good example, right? Too, of just like that could easily escalate into an argument, right? But you're like, okay, let me take a second here, put myself in the other person's shoes. Oh yeah, I've been in a crusty mood before. I know how that feels. I know if I'm tired or this or that, I know how I'm right. And just by doing that, then we don't get so defensive and been like, why are you coming at me with it? And it just de-escalates the situation, allows you to communicate clearly and effectively with one another.
Yes.
So, and what you said, brother, real, like you said, why are you coming at me? That's me being a little bitch. I know she's in a bad mood. Shit, put up a little armor, fucking A. And so that's so perfect. It's sometimes you got to just realize, okay, I might take a little slap in the face here and there, but I'm a big boy. I'm going to be okay. I was told this was going to be a rough one. Suck it up. So I going into the fourth quarter. Look, we're behind. It's time to pull up your fucking pants, everyone. Let's get it on. You got to do it there too.
So go ahead, AJ.
I was just going to say, I love how John simplifies things. I almost want to bring him into session with me when I'm working with the client, and I'll give the textbook kind of explanation of it, and then John can just lean in from behind and be like, stop being a bitch. That's what he's saying. And then he can sit back and
Yes. So one of my roles as host of this show, and one of my missions in life as I continue building this show, is to help all of us continue to be better as human beings. That's what my purpose is. That's what really my goal is. And as I sit with my family members through life, like my true like my blood family.
You muted, Keith.
Yep. You
lost muted, your Keith. Audio. You're muted, Keith. You're muted, Keith. You're muted.
Wave him down. Come on, baby. Look at here.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know him.
I don't know what he was changing directions, wasn't he?
I was changing directions.
I lost him almost right away.
Let's just keep talking about what we were talking about.
Yeah, I was going to say, AJ, man, everything you say on this show is impactful. So let's go a little deeper into you basically laid out, and I kind of just made an example of, it was almost crazy. Like you said that just a couple of days ago, I was working on this in my relationship. Talk more about that, but lead with empathy, brother. That's powerful stuff.
Yeah, I think it's just because, so in when we're leading with it, obviously if we have that understanding that it's not only our emotions, but trying to understand the other person's emotions, and then we're reflecting back on how that's making us feel, right? So we have to have awareness in the situation, right? This person's telling me something, sharing with me something. I'm in this situation. Oh, I can feel myself getting a little heated. I can feel myself, right? And that's natural. Like the goal is not to be a robot and not feel anything. It's just to be aware of what we're feeling and then control it and regulate it. So when we get in those conversations with people, it could be a good conversation, a bad conversation, or anything in between, right? We're just aware. We're going to be reacting to what they're saying. It's going to make us feel emotions. It could make us feel happy or sad or mad or angry or a million different emotions. And we're just aware of how that's making us feel. And then we just use the proper skill or the tool to just regulate ourselves in that moment so we can keep the connection with the person, so we can keep the conversation productive, and all those great things that allow us to have strong relationships.
So, AJ, so
That's so good because really, I'm sorry, Marty. So really,
go ahead.
if we're a bigger, better person, we just realize, okay, look, this is what's happening. I'm going to be a bigger person. I'm going to stomach a little bit of this. I'm going to understand they're having a bad day, and we're going to be okay. So really, what it comes down to, it's actually showing strength, leading with empathy.
Absolutely. Yes, empathy, vulnerability, these things are actually true signs of strength, right?
Yes.
They can be difficult to do, and it can be a little bit scary to put yourself out there in certain ways, but that's what strength is, right? It's putting yourself in a situation might be a little bit uncomfortable, might be a little bit scary, might be a little bit difficult, and still choosing to do it anyway. That's strength. Avoiding that and taking the other route, the easy way out of it, is not strength. Sorry, Marty, you were going to say something there before.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, let's say someone is just struggling with empathy. Like they can't put themselves in someone else's shoes. What can they do to improve that or become empathetic? What steps can they take?
Yeah, no, that's great. So it is a skill, right? So like all the skills we always talk about, it's about practice. It's just reps and reps and reps. So we have to start somewhere, and it could be really challenging for us, right? We're more likely to be able to feel empathy for someone who's already closer to us, because we already feel a certain type of connection, right? So if you could start practicing that skill with your partner or your mom or your dad or your brother or your sister or someone in your family that you're already close with, we're more likely to be able to put ourselves in their shoes because we feel like we have more in common with them. We know a little bit more about them and their understanding, right? And as we get better at that, we can expand it to other people that we communicate with, right? Because you're right, Marty, like to start, if you just meet someone and you feel like you have nothing in common with this person, you've never crossed paths in your life, and you're very disconnected from them, you could be like, geez, I feel like I'm having a hard time putting myself in their shoes. I feel like I'm just having a really hard time imagining where they're coming from because I don't know anything about them. So we can start small. That first step could be with people closer to you in your inner circle. And then when we're expanding it, just you got to look for some common ground, right? The first time that we had all met, even if it was online, I was just listening to you guys talk, and I was drawing out and picking out things that you guys were saying and sharing, being like, oh yeah, or I'm familiar with that, or I've heard that before. That's interesting. Or, oh yeah, these guys like going to the gym too and working out. They're always talking about it. Okay, I like that too. So now, I'm trying to find tiny little things that connect us instead of our differences. And once I got a few connections that I feel like I can identify with, I'm also more likely to be able to put myself in your shoes, right? Because now I feel like we have something in common, right?
AJ Zeglen hanging out with you today. Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends Mindfield segment here. The segment where we help dive into the mind. We're talking empathy here today. We've gone a little bit into overtime. AJ, great segment, man. Some great advice. Marty, great question you asked for somebody who's thinking, because guys, I was that dude who just didn't know empathy. I didn't understand.
Me too. That's why I asked.
And AJ, when I met you when I was in my late 30s, I was going through my journey. I've talked often about it on this show. I was messed up. My values were messed up. Didn't really understand what empathy was. I didn't know how to be empathetic. I did not know how to be empathetic. I had to learn. And big credit to AJ, who's my friend along my journey, to help me learn about empathy. It's a skill, man. Johnny.
To remind everyone, just like AJ confirmed, it shows strength, not weakness, to be empathetic. So if you think you're being weak when you're doing it, you're sadly mistaken.
Yes.
And in my opinion, I think it's some wisdom too.
It is. And I want to offer this, and I want to offer this with grace with what I'm going to say next. So I was muted with what I said next. So we're talking empathy, and we've been talking choices of words and how we make people feel over the last few days. One of the things that I like to do with my family, my blood family, is often just pose questions of, do we still need to use those words? I don't know. If we're leading with empathy, do we still want to use those words? And one of the words that we used today was the R word. And I don't know if we want, and I'm not sure if we want to continue using that word, because that word, if we're leading with empathy, might not make somebody feel it in a good way. So just throwing the word out there that we might want to not use words like the R word, so that we can bring us back to a place where and it's funny because I had this conversation with my brother a few months ago, and he's it's a good point. I don't think I need to use that word anymore. Yeah, let's not use it anymore. I just offered up there. We might want to consider, and yes, Johnny, I can see you leaning in here.
I was going to say that my 1,000 bodyweight squat's got my brain moving a little slow. The R word, I'm still trying to connect the fucking dots. Let me fill me in so I don't start slinging this thing. What word are we talking about here?
So we just don't, I don't think we want to, I don't know if we want, I don't know if somebody has a family member that might be mentally disabled or having.
Okay. I'm with you. Yeah. Enough said.
I know you well enough, Johnny. I know you well enough with your heart and your love that having a conversation, and that's the purpose of this show, gentlemen. And I feel like that's the purpose of my role. Like, I really believe that's why I wake up every morning, because I'm hoping somebody today is going, you know what, Bill is actually making a good point. And Johnny's going, yeah, actually, I think Bill is making a good point. So maybe I'm not going to use that word in the future. And and listen, we are going to use it every now and then. But I'm just trying to help us. If we're leading with empathy, maybe we can just choose different words. I don't know. Just something to consider. Johnny, I love you, brother. Marty, I love you, brother. AJ, you know how I feel about you, pal. Last words to you, brother. AJ, any final words on empathy as we say goodbye to this segment today?
Yeah, just like anything, it's all about action, right? I know we talk about amazing stuff on here, and then it's all about putting into action. So just like everything else, just start. Now that we've talked about it, you have an idea of what it is, just start. Today, when you're talking to someone, actively listen to them and try to imagine what they're feeling in that moment and what they're experiencing, and put yourself in their shoes. It doesn't even matter if you think it's like anything overly important, right? It's just a skill. It's got to be developed. So just action, put it to use, start practicing empathy any chance that you get.
And you know what, AJ, encourage somebody not to be scared to try it, because somebody who's, I don't want to put myself out there.
Yeah.
Just tell them to do it. Try.
No, yeah, for sure. Like we said, we're talking about, this is a show for men, right? And we're talking about feeling useful in our communities, useful in this world, having a purpose, showing strength, and not the macho bravado strength, but the true strength. Here's your opportunity, right? It can be scary to put yourself out there. Do it, right? That's how you get better. That's how you grow.
Yes. Good stuff. AJ Zeglen, always dropping nuggets in the lab every single Tuesday and Thursday. Minefield with our friend, our brother. Zeglen, go crush today, man. I know you crush it every single day. And Marty, Johnny, we got to bring AJ on for, I think, a full show coming up here, just to spend more time getting to know AJ. I feel like as we get into conversation, he's got to rock and roll. So AJ, maybe we can find some time on the schedule to have you sit down with us for a longer chat. We can get more into knowing you and your family and what makes AJ Zeglen tick. Because Nation, we talk about judging a book by its cover. I've got to know this young man for 12, 15 years. Johnny, Marty, this guy is a superstar. And not just what you see deep down inside, Johnny Anderson.
Yeah, AJ he's like cake to a fat kid. There's never enough.
I know AJ well enough, Johnny, that he's going to take that for the whole day today.
Oh, man. That is my day.
And Marty is just... Let's I don't know what to say. Where's Flynn?
How am I supposed to go on after that?
Yeah, what are we doing, man?
What
What are we doing here? We had such a great convo, and then Johnny
I
just
love
ends the
it.
convo like that.
I just love it.
Well, I mean, we're giving AJ the up. What better up than that? Come on.
I love all you guys. AJ, have a great day, brother.
Thank you
All right,
very
AJ.
much, everybody.
Later, AJ.
Thank you, AJ.
Bring Flynn on for the brand.
God
I'm out of here
damn.
too. I gotta go too.
Marty, go get it, brother. Marty, go hang out with the old folks. Hey,
Rock
Johnny.
and roll.
Oh man,
Love you, Marty.
see
Go
y'all
get it.
tomorrow, man. All right, y'all.